That's there.
We're online, sir, on the record.
Well, good morning, everyone.
I like this one too.
Today is the, 16th day of the, is it 15th, 16th? 15th. It's 15th day of June, and the Board of Commissioners is in session. All three commissioners are present, and the purpose of the meeting is we're having some budget deliberations. We got just a little bit to talk about. We have our distinguished clerk here with us is going to run us through all this. We have a lot of other people here with good information. So, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay.
Except my,
What?
the glass.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. You can have mine all. Okay, is there anything else? Let's kick it off. Go ahead. It's all yours.
It's all mine, huh? This will be fun then.
You got the floor, I should say.
I think it's all yours actually today.
Well, it is, but you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today we'll be using our typical tool to go through and help this board deliberate on some of the decisions that we need to make to get to a tentative budget. There is no rush. We have plenty of time over the next several days to do this. And so what we'll do is we'll start out. I recommend big rocks as opposed to small rocks into the jar first. We all know that analogy. Once we put all the small rocks in, it becomes very hard to get the big rocks. So as you can see starting out here, this is assuming everything is in. So all CIPs, EOEs, all the supplemental requests for personnel, all the supplemental requests for operating and capital. You can see we're right now, without taking any additional taxes, we're $23 million in fund balance needed. I can tell you we don't have $23 million in fund balance. We have about $4.5 million of fund balance after we consider the 27th payroll. So we need to trim that down. We also have ongoing expenses in the red. Now, as we go through deliberations and the decisions are made by this board, that number will change, obviously, as we say yes to certain things and no to other things. But our goal at the end of these deliberations is to be green on the bar up atop for fund balance needed. We're right now in the red. We need to move that little bubble over to the green. And we need to have that current red bar underneath that says ongoing expenses exceeded by revenues. We need that to be green as well. So before the board is the budget. You've heard it for this last week. I'm happy to start wherever it makes sense for the board. But again, I'd recommend big rocks. The big rocks are primarily on this page. So if we are going to consider a merit COLA, take additional taxes, those are all on this page for now. So it's up to you, Mr. Chair. Where would you like to begin or start?
Well, first, the first place I'd like to start is I think we notified everyone in this room that the budget as submitted, we couldn't do it based on the revenues, and so we've asked them to go through and make a recommendation on their budget. Do you have any recommendations there?
I don't have any specific recommendations other than I know there's a couple of things that came out in the briefings last week. I can show you kind of what those are right now in terms of the supplementals. For instance, in my office, the $34,000 ask for the retirement payout, we have went back and looked at our budget, and there are some things that we can delay for a year to be able to pay for that retirement. And so we've taken that off the books right now. I know we have already decided we're not going to proceed with the admin fees for the coroner's portion of impact fees, so there's $75,000. I know on last week, Parks said that they could adjust their revenues to cover the $10,000 in additional revenue that they would need to pay for the mitigation debris in the Boise River. So those are the things that I know right now. I'm sure that other offices are prepared, if you have specific questions by department in here, to come up and let you know what they've been thinking.
Okay. Well, we can do that as we go through it. Did you have something you want? Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think it would be instructive if we started at the very beginning no pun intended there either. But and look at, because we have clearly a major delta, $23 million that we're probably not going to be able to recover without addressing the first page first. So I would say start there, go and see what we can do there, and then as we move through all the other things, we might come back and address some of these other things. But I think based on what we have, the delta between income that we know is there, expectations from the state that we know are there, I think we're probably going to have to do certainly the new construction that's in there and maybe some of these other things as well, at least to put in at the very beginning and then as we work our way through.
Yes, that would be, I think, advisable for us to start at a base. And did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. So, starting right at the top, based on 389, that first row is the maximum. If we were to do that, what would that do to our budget?
Oh, I put a 3 in somewhere, Anthony.
It escaped. Okay, that lowers it down to 17. We're making
17 over
progress.
fund balance, yes.
Mr. Chairman, and just kind of, if we could kind of outline what that would mean in terms of, I think it would be useful as well. Like 389, jail subsidy, liquor, reduction in liquor taxes. What would those three things add up to in terms of, that is $5.1 million. What is our requirement under 389, jail subsidy and liquor? Just those three things.
Our revenue loss in 389 based off the 90% preliminary levy rate that was put into law is about $3.7 million. So we would have an additional $3.7 million if not for 389 capping that new construction. We would also roughly $2.5 million in the jail subsidy.
So
Is,
so
what
the
we're
new
looking at.
construction roll is capped, and we're not able to take the full cap. We're only able to take the 5%.
It's a compounding impact, right? So if we can't take new construction, which at a full 100% based off last year's levy rate, that goes on forever. So we've lost that revenue forever, and we can never really make it up. It never becomes part of the base. And so this is the impact of that in this year's budget alone, $3.7 million.
Just that one item, it's 3.7 million, right? Okay.
Jail subsidy, roughly, I'm sure the sheriff has more accurate numbers, but we were looking at about $2.5 million in the difference between what we get reimbursed from the state and what our costs are. And then the liquor,
2.5?
$2.5 million. And liquor shortfall, $260,000 based off the law that just was passed that they scraped back from the county distribution. So all those three together would more than exceed the $5.1 million in the 3% that you would take.
Okay. Is that, I'd like the sheriff to confirm, is that 2.5 million, is that, Sheriff, is that an accurate number? Or is it less or more?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it's probably going to be actually closer to 3. I don't know what the exact number is. I can get it, but it will be closer to 3 than not 2.5.
And
But
I think, now, you and I and the board, we understand how that occurs. But when we talk about a shortage that the state reimburses us, can you walk us through, when does that start? And how is it defined?
So the new rate of $80 a day
That doesn't start until July 1st.
starts
correct?
July 1st. So we did project from October to October. So we'll get a little bit extra starting in July. But it hasn't been since the law has been enacted. So
Right. But when does an inmate, because we get inmates in and
sure.
out all the time, when do they become a state inmate?
So
I think we need to clarify that. Like I said, we know that.
Yeah.
But people that are listening might not.
absolutely. So they become a state inmate when they are done with all of their courts and they've been sentenced to go to IDOC. If they have local charges, then we don't charge IDOC for that because it is the responsibility of the sheriff to house them and get them to court until they are sentenced. But when they are sentenced on their felony and the judge says you are to go serve your time in prison, the clock starts. And then usually they stay in the facility for a good length of time, sometimes up to a year, before they're moved out to IDOC.
Okay, so the day they are sentenced by a district judge to be housed at the Idaho State Correctional Facility, correct?
That's correct.
And that's when they become a state prisoner, when they are technically the responsibility of the state.
Correct.
But how many prisoners does that amount to?
Well, it fluctuates, but anecdotally, I'll tell you that usually when I look, there's usually around 120. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little less, but that's usually the number I look at. That's not the exact number, but anecdotally, it's usually somewhere around 120 to 130.
Now, I understand there's actually a court order directing the state to remove those prisoners from our jail. How much time do they have pursuant to that court order?
So according to the court order, which is a case back from the late 90s with Sheriff Killeen, they have 7 days to take them from the jail and move them out to the penitentiary.
Because as I recall, the state law just says as soon as possible, correct?
Correct.
But then there's court discussion between Ada County and the state of Idaho. I think that was even appealed to the Supreme Court, was it not?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so, anyway, and the courts decided, well, you've got 7 days. You've got to come and get them. And the state, for some reason, has always had we'll reimburse you somewhat. And until July 1st, what was that reimbursement rate?
So for the first 7 days, it was $55 a day, and then it was $75 a day after each additional day. And that's set by the legislation, so it's not IDOC just arbitrarily saying, hey, this is what we'll pay
That's
you.
right.
But
That's
yeah, legislators
the
set that.
legislature
Yes, sir.
pays. And so that amount, and that's where you get about the 3 million, that's the delta between when they are supposed to have them out of our jail and how many they are, and so you would take, what is our actual cost?
So it's $120 and change, so 124, I believe. I don't have the exact number, but it's 120 something. So
Cost to Ada County taxpayers $124 a day to house every inmate.
yes, sir.
And so when a state inmate is required to stay at our, because they just come and pick them up, don't they? Or they call you and say, we'll come get 15 or 20. I don't know how that works. How does that work?
That's basically what happens.
They'll call you and just say, but some of them are there 6 months, some of them are there as long as a year longer, correct?
Correct.
And that's the delta, and that's when it costs us that much extra. So now they're paying us, effective July 1st, they've increased that to
Correct.
$80, right?
Yes.
And they've eliminated that first 7 days for some reason.
Correct. It just starts, day one starts at $80.
Day one starts at, so effective July 1st, for every person in our, incarcerated in the Ada County Jail, we will get reimbursed $80 per day.
Correct.
But it actually costs us around 125.
Correct.
Or 124.
Somewhere in there, yes, sir.
So that means that, and our main source of revenue to pay for the inmates is property taxes.
Correct, sir.
So that's and the cost of the now we have other prisoners that we get paid for. Does not the U.S. Marshals, don't we have a contract if there's a U.S. Marshal that arrests somebody?
Yes, sir. So we have, statutorily, we are obligated to hold a certain amount of beds for U.S. Marshals, and they contract with us to reimburse us for those costs.
And what's their contract?
It's 143, I believe. a day.
143. Now, we also house some prisoners that are designated as a city prisoner,
Yes, sir.
and we get paid for that too, don't we?
We do.
What do we get paid for that one?
$100 a day.
$100 a day. That's closer to our actual cost, but still
Yes.
not.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, usually the city the people that are in on only city codes are much less than
Yeah.
what we would say. They're in and out faster. So that's not as much of a burden because they're not there as long. They're in on like, usually those city codes are kind of a petty misdemeanor, something like that.
Right, and most of the IDOC prisoners are felonies, correct?
All of them would be felonies, yes.
Because if they are sentenced to, say, 6 months in jail on a misdemeanor, they just stay at your facility, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So those are all felonies
Yes.
typically, and now there's some other counties, for instance, I think we take all of Boise County's prisoners as well, do we not?
We do.
And they reimburse us,
Correct.
and what do they pay?
$100.
$100. Now, I understand that that IDOC was in negotiations with several counties to have a contract for house some of their prisoners. Do you know if that's come to fruition?
Yeah, it is starting to move forward. I don't know where they're at in the contract process because we're not one of those jails that will be contracting with them because we have such a crowding problem. But a few months ago, I know they were still getting it worked out, but it is moving forward. There's not a stall out as far as I know.
And isn't there an economies of scale because some counties that have a maximum capacity of, say, 20 beds, they have to have like two sheriff deputies,
Yeah,
whether they have 5 prisoners or 20.
yeah, that's correct, sir. So some of them might only have one deputy that works if they have 5 prisoners, but there are different scales of, what size of jail do you have, how many inmates do you have, what types of services are available around you. So I don't know what every jail has for what they pay per day, but that the Idaho Sheriff's Association, it's 140 something a day is kind of the average that they've worked out through the state.
What was that one, the Idaho Sheriff's Association said that's what they get reimbursed, $140?
No, that's just basically the cost
Yeah.
of housing per day.
Yeah, they sent us a letter saying the average cost is $147. But ours is a little less than that, probably because of economies of scale.
Yes.
Now, are you aware of the amount of prisoners that's in IDOC?
Yes, IDOT currently has somewhere around 10,000 prisoners spread out statewide and out of state.
10? So they should have some economies of scale.
I would imagine.
Right. And do you know how much the state of Idaho budgets for those 10,000 prisoners?
I do not. I don't remember the exact
I do.
amount.
It's $100 a day.
Okay, $100 a day.
That's what they submitted, and that's what passed with the Joint Finance and Appropriation Committees. It's just a touch under $100 a day. That's what it actually costs them. So the state saves money by not coming and get their prisoners because it costs them $100 a day. If they leave them here, it only costs them $80. But then that has to come from our property taxpayers.
Correct.
And you're saying it's about $3 million.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, just to make sure I'm clear, that the delta on that isn't figured at what we're going to get compared to $75 a day and the $55. That's compared to what we'll get with $80 a day, if that makes sense. So that near
It's a
3
bigger
million.
delta if they wouldn't have raised it.
Yeah, so it's
3 million is figuring the 80.
correct.
Okay, well, and we're happy that they did that. That's a good start.
That's correct. It's
I think
something.
I think that's what we discussed in the legislature when they were doing that. It's a good start.
Yes, sir.
Because they haven't changed that for, I don't know how long it's been since that was changed, but it's a good start, the getting to $80. All right. Well, I don't have any more. Do you have anything?
No, just for the clerk.
Yeah.
Basically, because in our budget, as you can see there, it's the property tax increase for the kinds of things we're doing over here. It shows it over there. So when we put the $5 million in there, or whatever we put in in terms of property tax, shows up over there, correct?
Thank you, Sheriff.
When you say there,
The residential property tax example,
yes. It does.
cost per taxpayer in the median home.
As soon as you take any cent in there, it gets calculated in the median home value of what the taxes will do.
So that anybody looking at this as we're going through this can see the delta between those two. Do you have a figure like $1 million or whatever, what that would mean for the medium homeowner?
You're asking me to do public math. I can plug in some numbers here and you can see what it would do.
Okay. Just as so that they can see every time we increase property tax by $1 million, then how it deals with each median income or home income. And the other thing, you gave us at the beginning the amount of median income property tax, because we have not taken the full amount in past years, correct?
We have not.
At your estimate, based on what you showed us, was like that we left in the taxpayers' pockets $427.87, correct?
That is correct, over the last 5 years.
Over the last 5 years since this board, in other words, this board's on the watch time. So when we need to be looking at that, we meaning everybody needs to be looking at that in terms of how much we're taking this year versus what we have over the last 6 years, basically. So,
Correct.
okay, just as we go through a delta that we can look at as we go through.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Trent, do you think, it's the legislature's intent that we use these tools, the foregone taxes and the percent increase? Because if they've taken away some other tools we used to have and, with the 389 and all that, and they left these tools in place, is it the legislature's intent that we actually use these to make up the difference that they've taken away from us?
I absolutely believe that if the counties are in need, this is the tool that has been authorized to be able to go and do that. So that's the intent of the legislature, is to allow the commissioners and taxing districts to be able to use these tools and foregone, if you haven't taken previous year's taxes, to utilize those for needs that you have in a current year.
And if we're losing revenue, like on the liquor taxes, because people are paying less liquor taxes because they're drinking less liquor, I mean, in theory, you have to make it up somewhere. And so if we raising the base and we're taking some of the foregone, I mean, it may come across as a raise, but if people are paying less taxes and in other streams like liquor tax, I guess is that a little misleading, where it'd be interesting to see the entire tax picture at the end, because if you're paying less liquor taxes, but then it's being made up in property tax, well, that's not as much as a raise as it may come across, because it's just equaling out.
Yeah, I think we heard at a conference recently from a pretty prominent legislator that taxes have to come from somewhere, right? They're never going to go down. So you're always seeing a constant tax shift amongst different forms of tax. We as a county, as I briefed last week, rely heavily upon intergovernmental revenue in the form of sales tax and liquor tax sharing. And if those aren't coming in what they normally come in at, then the shift is to something else. So in theory, you're correct. If people are paying less in sales tax, which is distributed amongst the counties, then increasing on a property tax is not an overall increase on somebody. But it's a tough one to sell if your property taxes go up. So.
Right. Anything else? All right. Well, speaking of that, do you have any kind of numbers on, because it is my impression that over the last 5 years that we get revenue sharing from a portion of the sales tax, because they have a formula that they send out as the sales tax comes in. I think it's 11.5% of the sales tax, isn't it, is distributed to local governments. And for some reason, it seems as though those numbers have been going down. Is that accurate?
It's more that it's plateaued, and we've in several years past, every year sales tax would increase, and that overall sales tax intake from the state would translate into additional funds for counties, and so we started relying upon those increases every year, and then they fell flat. And there was some things that went into effect. The Wayfair tax, I think, is one of them. Internet tax sales for things outside of Idaho that
Yeah, just so people understand what that is. Wayfare tax is the tax if you buy something from Amazon.
Yeah.
Or if you buy something from online. When they first put that in place, they didn't think that would amount to very much because there wasn't these joint agreements or court decisions. But that's ballooned up to quite a substantial amount, hasn't it?
It has.
And the counties and local governments get none of that,
That's correct.
correct? So that would be beneficial if we were to add that into the 11.5%. That would be beneficial.
Absolutely. And as you know, this board knows, the legislature diverted some other forms of tax. I can't tell you exactly what they were. I would guess they were probably sales tax into property tax relief by buying down school bonds. And so people saw that on their tax bill, and that was a reduction. But it's another form of tax paying down what traditionally property tax is paid for.
Did that come off the revenue sharing?
It came off after the revenue sharing, so that didn't have a direct impact on our distribution.
That came from the Wayfare thing?
It came after. The Wayfair thing is a separate entity that they deal with before all the other things happen, and then the sales tax. So it's essentially the state budget took a big hit when they did that property tax reduction for school bonds. And we still got our same percentage-wise distribution.
But our constituents had less to pay to the local school districts.
That's
because
correct.
their bond amount went down, right? All right. I've got another question here on talking about the foregone capital. How much of our proposed capital is actually potentially a state responsibility or a partial state responsibility that we're having to take over?
As you have well documented for the last year or so, 95+% of what we do is mandated by the state. And so our facilities are extensions of that. The equipment we buy, all of those things are obviously required to do our job that is in code that is set by the state. So it's not a stretch to say all of our facilities, generally outside of maybe parks, are required by the state.
Well, I believe it's 91% is
91%.
mandate of the state. But what I'm talking about specifically is, are there specific projects? I'm thinking of CAMA. Could that not be a state responsibility?
It absolutely could be something the state took on and paid for.
Well, they were doing it. The state tax commission was doing it, and the legislature told them to not do it.
That's correct.
And so then the counties are having to take it on because we've had, I think, how old is the system that we have?
30 years old.
It's a 30-year-old system, and so it's outdated, and we're not able to provide the amount of services to our taxpayers. And so we've gone through a process to assist the state, actually, and other counties. And how much is that in this year's budget?
$4.5 million.
$4.5 million that hopefully the state could have helped us a little bit on that, because it's something that we all deal with. In fact, the state tax commission has to approve everything that we do relative to property taxes, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, and so this is a system that's going to help us better get our assessments more accurate, because it's a 30-year-old system that we have now, and it's a homegrown system. This is a system that they went out and found it. Okay. Any other areas that were, like, I think CAMA, if the state would have proceeded to do their CAMA, it would have been a better, less cost, I think, for us. I believe.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman? Another one, this is a question that might fit there on the foregone, would be the jail security system, because we were just talking to the sheriff about that. Would that be one that would be the equivalent of what he's talking about with CAMA? It's a requirement we're doing, so we could, if we took foregone, how much would that, I can't remember what that was.
Jail security system right now is 1.6 million additional funds that they're looking to make sure they have the correct equipment in the jail for jail security.
So if we took the total foregone one time, this is a one-time thing, right? That would be 3%?
You could take up to 3% in capital, that's correct.
And what would be the total amount there?
The total between CAMA and the jail security system is 6.1. But we'd have to make sure that the CAMA qualified as under the new House 389 bill for a capital project. We have other capital projects that we've undertaken, obviously, and capital expenses for equipment in terms of the sheriff's office and other things that could qualify in there as well. But you could take up to 3%.
And that would
in
be what?
foregone for capital.
What would be the total amount, total dollar amount?
If you were to take 3%, it would be $5.4 million additional.
So we could then, as you said, either CAMA, jail security, or something like,
Or something that qualified under the 389 requirements.
okay, thank you.
Well, isn't the 389 requirements, how do you define that? Is that not defined as a one-time expense?
It's absolutely defined as a one-time expense, so it would
And
be.
don't we have, when we sign a contract for a software, it's a one-time expense, even though it might be a subscription, but it ends at the end of each fiscal year. I'd call that a one-time expense.
It is a one-time expense, but the rules around 389 deal with capital, so we'd have to make sure that that was indeed something that they thought was a capital expense.
They mean,
Who's they? Who will make that decision?
I'm sure the state would have a question about it, but we can do some more research and I can get back to you on that.
All right, well, so we'll need to know if we can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, okay. Well, let's just assume for argument's purposes that we would do that. What would that do to our budget?
So right now, it'd be looking at 12,377,000 of fund balance. Again, we would need to come up with additional funds on top of that to get down to about $4.5 million in fund balance, which is what we have available in savings. You can see the impact to taxpayers, a $25 increase per year. And again, that would be a one-time capital that would fall off the base budget the following year. So in essence, that would drive down the property tax bill the following year once that capital expense had been taken care of.
Well, so how much of our budget, can you estimate that? Have you gone through it to determine which will qualify and which will not qualify?
I think we have a list of things like the coroner's office. We have a yearly expense for that. That would qualify, I believe. There are other things in there. The sheriffs, if you were to approve radios and tasers, those types of things would fall into our capital expense for equipment for one time.
So we could safely assume if we went with that route, that it would stay in there. You'd have to go through and.
We'd have to go through and for sure do that.
We don't want to have to come back and open up the budget if you can't do that.
Again, the one time is not the biggest pressure that we have in our budget this year, obviously. It's the ongoing.
Right.
And so those are the areas that would be.
And so we could take an additional amount in the ongoing, that might help.
You could take a 1% ongoing to help out. I would recommend, if the board is considering a merit COLA, to consider that first, because that'll tell you exactly where you need to go in terms of additional revenues that you would need to take.
All right, well, let's go down to the personnel expenses and talk about that. I think we should go down to the flat, because what I've been thinking, and I don't know about my colleagues, but I've been thinking maybe 60 cents an hour for every employee as a COLA. That comes up to what, $1,248? Am I right? Per
Very good
employee?
at public math, sir.
Well, I've gone through this. I've used this personally, and I think that's what it is. And that amounts to
3.3 million.
3.3 million. That is just if we give every employee in the county a 60 cent an hour increase.
That's correct.
And that would simply try to offset some of the ongoing expenses or their cost of living increase that they have. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks about that, but I'd like to know.
What's the monthly? What's 60 cents come to monthly?
We'll divide that by 12. That's what it comes to, about $100 a month.
You can see on the right side of the chart, for a current employee that gets paid $20 an hour, that $1,248 would increase their yearly budget by $822.39 after we consider Percy and obviously health insurance costs.
And this gives every employee that amount, so that our employees that are on the lower end of the pay scale, they would get, as a percentage, a lot more than like, people that are on the higher end of the scale.
That'd be correct.
And of course, one of the motivations for doing that, we've done that in the past, but we get into a compression thing. We don't want to do that, but we haven't done it for a couple of years. But that would be about, well, it's easy to see. The average employee would have an increase of about $100 a month, correct?
I think that's ballpark.
That's the annual.
Yes.
Annual amount is $1,248. So that'd be about $100 a month, and that'd be to buy gas and groceries and things like that. That has been going up. Now I understand that might be coming down a little bit, the gas anyway, potentially, but we can't predict that. Okay, and go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, and if we could include some merit in there, that would, I hypothetically, put some merit in there and see what that would mean as well, like 1.5% merit. So that would,
About the same amount, it's 300,000 less, but
Something like this would equate to probably a 3 to 3.5% increase for the lower end of our pay scale. For the higher end of our pay scale, it's more like a 2.1 to 2.5% increase.
well, I'm comfortable with that. I think we want to maintain competitiveness with other organizations. I understand the state didn't do any kind of pay raise this year, did they?
They did not.
Except for Highway Patrol,
That's correct.
and they did get a pay increase. And that's where some of our biggest competition for some of these jobs are with the state. But some of our sister cities and counties are increasing a little more than that. I think I think I was reading where Boise might be at 3%.
Boise, I think, is targeting 3%. There's cities like Cuna doing 3.7%. Others are doing a flat rate that's higher, 85 cents. But I think Meridian is somewhere between 2.8 and 3%, depending on if their police service is getting higher.
Well, and they just passed a levy on public safety that's going to give them a lot higher in their public safety and their law enforcement, and they're going into the prosecution business this year too, I believe.
That's correct.
So it's going to be higher, and because they did pass that levy that the citizens all voted for. Okay, well.
So now you can see we're $6.5 million that we still need to find in ongoing revenues. Obviously, all of the supplementals and all the personnel requests that are supplementals are included in this. So as we go through, you can see that number start to drop. This would also be appropriate if you were considering ongoing. You could take up to 1% to offset some of those costs as well.
oh, up at the top, you're talking, the four.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that would be, we can do up to 1% for ongoing.
that's correct.
And then that would build onto the each year for next year.
That would be included in the base budget
That's
going forward.
all right.
And 1% is the maximum? Excuse me.
1% is the max. So if you were to do 1%, now we're looking at $4.7 million. And again, this would be a $30.34 increase to taxpayers. And you can't take any more taxes than that are on here, so that 30.34 would not go up based off the rest of your decisions.
So
It
if we
could
were
go
to do
down.
this amount on the property taxes anyway, the average homeowner in Ada County would have an increase of $30.
That's correct.
And that's as when you juxtapose against what we have not taken over the years, that would still be, their property taxes would still be less, quite a bit less than what it would have been.
Roughly $400 less.
$400 less. Well,
Over the last 6 years.
over the last, is it 6 years?
Cumulative, yes. That's, I
Cumulative.
think 2021, is that right? Yeah.
From FY21. Well, in FY22, we actually did a $12 million property tax reduction.
That's correct.
I don't think we took any of the 3% in the next couple of years, did we? So those add up,
They do.
and that's what adds up to the 400 and, what'd you say,
427.
$427. And so that would be a $30 about a $30 increase in the average homeowner.
That's correct.
And that's based on the average assessed
Median home
valuation of
value.
the median.
Some with bigger homes and some with smaller homes would have different numbers, but that's the median.
That's the median, okay, all right. All right, well,
Mr. Chairman?
yeah,
Thank you. That's what I wanted, so we can, as we go through the other things, we can kind of measure against what we have to do in terms of, we still need 16 million in fund balance, correct?
Yes, and unless we say no to some things in the
That's what I
CIP
mean, as we go,
EOEs and
as we go
supplementals.
through these other things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Included in here is a healthcare portion of $1.5 million. That's what you were briefed last week on. So that also is in there. And then I also have loaded in here $3,435,745 set aside for our 27th payroll in FY28.
I'm trying to get my arms wrapped around that, and that's hard. Why we're having to budget for a 27th payroll in FY28. But I understand there's some we lack one day a year for the last 7 or 8 years, 10 years, something like that.
We could budget for it in FY28. It would just be a really big pill to swallow.
So this would be
This is half of what we would need.
that's half what we need.
So we'll have the same conversation next year.
All right, all right. Well,
Mr. Chairman?
go ahead.
I have to interject the America 250 into this conversation. Because as you read the Declaration of Independence, the purpose of government is to secure the rights, God-given rights to the people. That's our role here. And so that's what we're trying to do in this deliberation, is just to secure the rights to the people as declared in the Declaration of Independence. So I think if we keep that focus as we go through here, and I appreciate what all you and the staff and elected officials have done in helping us do that as we go through all the rest of our deliberations. But
Right now, you're looking at that $30 increase for a property taxpayer. There's also, we still need to come up with $4.7 million in cuts. And so there are legitimate needs that I think have been presented to you over the last week that either are going to have to be delayed for a year or said no to. So this isn't an easy path forward, but I think there's a path forward if we continue to look at legitimate needs that we have right now and ones that may be delayed.
So are you saying delaying is not the same as saying no?
No is no. Yes, that's correct. But I think in some considerations, there are needs, they're not going to go away, but they may be needs that we could delay for a year. For instance, the $34,000 that I said, I can delay a forklift in our elections warehouse for a year to take that up. And then the following year, I'd have that money back in my base maintenance budget that I could pay for that forklift, so.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
go ahead.
Just as I agree with that, and that's a good thing that we're asking as we go through here, and what are the options, and as we ask people, as the chairman said, to help us through to get that 4.7 million, exactly what you just said. What can we do next year that we can defer till next year, I should say, so.
Okay.
As we go through these deliberations, I think that's a good benchmark, actually.
We also have some other different funding sources down here for EMS, mosquito, and pest and funding source. I will say that for EMS and mosquito, if you were to continue with that 1.5% merit and the flat COLA, they would probably need to take the foregone available to them to be able to make that work. So those numbers are very small compared to what we had just talked about, but they are needed in those two departments.
And that would be the 1%.
Would be the 1%. So for instance, a 1% in EMS is just $93,000, but that helps significantly offset the cost of their pay raise if we were to continue with that.
Well, now, we've made a request to all the urban renewal districts to, because the state law allows our emergency services, particularly EMS, to withdraw out of those taxing districts, out of those urban renewal districts, which is taking away some property taxes and giving it to the local urban renewal. Now, we haven't heard back from them yet, but that would be, do you have any idea how much that would be if we were to get that?
I don't have a number for you. Do you know, Tim? Okay, we'll work to get you a number on what that impact would be.
Well, I think last year was 450,000, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think it was about 450,000. And that would benefit the EMS quite substantially, as you can see.
Yep. Now, of note, that $93,745 would wipe out their foregone. So they would have zero foregone going forward.
What about mosquito and pest?
Mosquito is 1%. They would absolutely need that for the pay increases. It's only $16,000. That does not wipe out their fund balance. They still are not fund balance, foregone balance. Pest, I would say, probably doesn't need the 1% foregone. They still have a very healthy fund balance, and they currently don't need it. Now, if we get into the discussion of rats, then that might be something different.
But if we were to do something different,
A 1% is not a huge markup for them either.
yeah, it's not big. It's not that big. Yeah, $8,000. That's not going
Pay for
to
rats.
take care of very many rats.
That's not gonna, yeah, maybe one or two.
Well, okay.
Now, Commissioners, the Chairman, if you want to continue down the path, we can get into CIPs, EOAs, and then supplementals and end up with personnel decisions that need to be made for the supplementals. So it's up to you, Mr. Chair, which,
Well, moving up, and I did have another question.
Yeah.
You move up there and you see if you include the ACSO pay plan, PCNs in COLA and merit, is there a cost? Do we have that cost?
there is a dollar figure associated with if the pay plan employees that have been recommended for pay increases, I think it's patrol, is that correct, Sheriff? Patrol, were to get their, I think it's an average of 4.02% pay raise, and they were not included in the other merit COLA, that would save on our overall cost to the tune of $756,559. So you can see that move the needle. We're now down to 3.9 million in ongoing that we would need.
Yeah, well, and that's because their pay plan actually has an increase on their longevity and things like that, correct?
I believe so, but I'm not the best person to talk about their pay plan.
Yeah, but and the increase that they're asking for is from the patrol perspective.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else while we're on here on this? No. All right.
If we go to CIPs, those that are before you, Mr. Chair, vehicle shop expansion, the land purchase for South County Substation. Just making sure these numbers, sometimes so 15.5 million in fund balance. That's showing correct on the top of the sheet as well. So there's those two, as you heard from the Transformation Board, Richard Beck, none of these were classified as important, urgent. These two were classified as important, not urgent, but those are their dollar figures. The vehicle shop expansion was approved based off the current, not the current, but a previous solution, and they had $1.7 million in that fund that's dedicated to that. That would roll forward. They're asking for an additional 4.5 to do the complete project as it's scoped now. So the total cost of that project would be 1.7 plus the 4.5. But that's what they're asking for this year, as well as the land purchase for the South County Substation. Obviously, if the board said no to these, that $15.5 million would go down, because right now these are assumed in the budget.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
just because we don't have the master facilities plan finished yet, and I think in those discussions, we kind of talked about that as well. This would be someplace that, and this is a sheriff question, but both of those, I think, could be deferred. Again, back to what you were saying again, but I would defer to the sheriff in terms of that, in terms of his overall budget.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner, we were chatting about pay plan. Can you repeat the question?
The two things we had, the vehicle expansion and the land purchase, we are, because you have the 1.5 million in the vehicle service, we're already committed to doing that. It's just how we get that done. And again, looking at what the clerk and we agreed to is deferring that. I think until we finish the master facilities plan, both of those things could fold into that. So we could remove them from this year's budget, I guess is my point.
So I could definitely speak on the land purchase and something we've been talking about this morning even. That can definitely be deferred. We're working on some other things to see if we need that money specifically, but I think waiting until next year, so that can be struck out of there for sure. Quite honestly, I think it'd be better if operations spoke to the other part of the CIP for the shop, because they're really, I know it's sheriff's office and it's in our budget, but they're really, taking hold of that project. And they would be better, they could answer you better whether or not we could defer that. But the 220, we can defer that for sure.
Well, on the shop, don't we already have already in your budget, 1.8 million, is that it?
Yes.
It's already there.
Yeah, Mr.
And
Chair.
we don't even have any land set aside for this one, for the project. So
Correct.
if we kept the 1.8 million in that you already have in the budget, and then handle the rest of this in another year when we are actually farther along, because we're kind of a ways out on the shop purchase.
Well, Mr. Chair, I would, again, this is probably better for operations to answer, but we do have the 1.6, and you're right. We could maybe build it on the Barrister campus. Not ideal at this point. But if we go out and we're trying to find land, we run into that merry-go-round again of, oh, hey, we found a spot, but we never budgeted any money to pay for it, and in October, it's gone. We got to wait till a whole year to try and purchase that land. I know they are looking for a couple of spots, then they have some in mind, but I do fear that they go, oh, here's the perfect spot, but we didn't put it in the budget, so no, October 2028, I imagine the landholder probably not going to hold that land for us. But again, operations better to speak on that than I would. But the 220 for sure, I know we can defer that.
Okay? All right. Any other questions?
Nope, that's,
Well, maybe we could talk to operations about that, because it would seem to me that if we have 1.6 million already that's in your budget, and the question is, would that be enough to buy some land? I don't know. But let's ask operations.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners,
Yeah.
we are currently looking at a piece of property. It's a little bit more than the 1.6 that's set aside. It's closer to 2 million.
Closer to what?
2 million. It's just under 3 acres is the parcel that we're looking at currently. I've also been doing some research on some other land as well. So it would have to get to that, probably around that $2 million mark to get the size of property that we would need to navigate it. Building it on site, our challenge that we run into is the development of the existing land itself is about 1.7 or 1.8 million. So, do you move it off site and build something that has room for growth and future expansion, or do we build something on site and kind of landlock that whole campus for future growth of the jail itself?
Okay, so let me ask this question. If we were to add an additional $400,000 to this, you'd have enough to buy land that you're currently looking at, and maybe even find another piece of property, because I've seen how these once we get that, it's gonna take some time to do some engineering and to do some architectural work. We probably wouldn't be breaking ground or building till another fiscal year anyway, would we?
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Chairman. If we can get the money to get the property secured, I think that would be ideal in 27, and then it would allow us to come back and redefine the design of that space. It also should bring the cost down of the design for that space, because currently in the jail complex when we're doing it, you have perimeter fencing that's got to meet jail standards and so on and so forth. So that drives the cost of the actual construction up a little bit. So if we were to do it off-site, we think we can actually bring that number down and build a building that's functional for the sheriff's office as well as potential for county fleet services out there as well.
Okay, well, then I'd have a question maybe of our chief operating officer. Yeah, you got to stay there. Well, that would be, we have been in the process for the last 4 years of obtaining impact fees, because we've always had the notion that growth should pay for itself. And we have now just secured a couple of some of the cities, and part of that's jail expansion, for the jail and for the sheriff's department. Is there some money coming in that could help pay for this, and would this qualify?
Mr. Chair, you're absolutely correct. We've been going down this road for a long time, and development is happening, and some of the cities being delayed in adopting those impact fees is really costing the county money for these sorts of expenses. It would relate to what we could spend money on for using impact fees relates to what's in the capital improvement plan, and the jail project certainly is in the sheriff's CIP for the current adoption of these impact fees. I don't know if the shop is in there for sure or not. I know that the sheriff and I have plans to get to work on his CIP when the budget process is over, so that we can make sure we get that South County substation elevated in there, and we can certainly put this garage in there as well. So the jail for sure.
Now, we have started collecting, or a couple of cities have started collecting these impact fees.
Yes, sir.
How much have we collected so far for the jail?
I was just trying to find that number. I apologize. I believe we had 100, yeah, there it is. For the jail, we've collected, just from the county and two cities, since the beginning of the year, $306,551. So it's meaningful.
And that's
It's really
just from
meaningful money.
unincorporated areas and Star and Eagle,
Yes, sir.
right? And we just got CUNA signed up, correct?
CUNA should roll any day. You just have to adopt their intergovernmental agreement. So we got paperwork going back and forth.
And Garden City is getting ready to go.
Garden City and Meridian should be completed in June, sir.
So it would seem to me that we could pay for some of these improvements with growth if we could get the other cities, Meridian and Boise, to adopt the impact fee. Do you have any projections on what that might be?
I just don't, we have not.
'Cause we don't know how many
dove into
building
their-
permits there is.
It's all
because
building
That's
permits.
where it comes from.
Right, yes, sir.
So, but this would help us a lot of growth, paying for growth, if we could just get those impact fees.
Yes.
Correct. All right.
And Mr. Chair, I think where you were headed with Bob and the sheriff, for the garage portion, this shop thing, I think if we could get the funds to procure this property, and we'll be talking about that with you in the next couple of days, and then some design money, and I think Bob would have that figure, then we could let those impact fees roll, but next year at this time, we could talk about using some of those funds to help pay for this project.
Well, but, okay, well, I think that's something we should consider, and it's unfortunate that we haven't been able to convince the cities to join us in having growth, paying for growth, but we have 3 of them so far, 4 pretty quick, and we're working forward. It's just a big nut to crack.
It is, yes, sir.
And we're doing what we can to get it done, but because we're all in favor of the cities and us as well, and we are experiencing substantial growth, and growth should help pay for itself. And these impact fees is one way we can do that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, so if we could just kind of get an estimate, and right now we have about almost 400,000 you were talking about to get the 2 million. So if we could maybe put something in there, but not the total 4.5 million.
If we were to take the 400,000 and put it in there in that line, and with some of the impact fees that we're getting, we would get along longer down the road in getting that done. Correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It should buy that number down substantially.
Okay.
Again, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
looking at it in the context of what the clerk said, and I agreed with, looking what we can defer to next year, take this year what we need essentially and defer to next year, and I think splitting that not taking the full 4.5 would help us do that, get to where we want to do this year, but still have some defer.
Mr. Chair.
Expectation for previous, succeeding years.
Right. Mr. Chair, if it'd be okay, I'd ask Bob to stand up here and tell you what potential procurement of the property plus design would be, because you're right, with the design delay, we wouldn't probably be in a position to break ground before this time next year anyway. You have that, roughly.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, so the land purchase, like I said, was right around 2 million is what we're looking at. And then design, we already have a design contract with a group that did the design for the current location at the Barrister campus. So we just have to engage with them about designing it for the potential new property location instead. So probably need another 50,000 for design on top of the purchase price. I think would be probably a pretty good number for them to move that building to that new design. We have worked out some civil and stuff for that property, but outside of that, I think we're pretty minimal at this point.
All right. Well, I think that answers it.
So if we,
Thank you.
so if we deleted or added 400,000, that would be plenty instead of the 4.5 million, 400,000.
Right, take that down to 400,000, and then take off the 220, because we might can take care of that with our impact fees. Okay, thank you.
Our current impact fees, and we were
Right.
probably going to get more than that.
Right, that's just what we've taken in already, 300 and some thousand. Okay, let's do that, Mr. Clerk. We're making some progress.
So then that would be a yes for 400,000.
Right,
Okay, and I have at least two.
well,
Okay. All right, and then for no on the land, I have two saying no on that, is at least
Right.
two? Okay,
we'll defer, yeah.
okay. All right, the weed pest mosquito drone storage facility and parking lot. This is coming out of, I believe, their fund balance. So this would not affect the top number.
Okay,
Okay.
that was my question as well. It would be straight out of their fund balance.
Straight out of their fund balance.
All right, that's fine, yeah.
Okay. Then you have the land stage 5 in the landfill stage 5 construction for $24.7 million.
That's for a new stage 5. I'd have a question on that. How much of the planning has been done on that, you know? Is Herb there? Oh, there's Herb.
Bring it down a little bit here. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I believe I heard the question of how much planning has been completed on stage
Yeah,
5.
where are we in terms of the stage 5 construction, number one, and number two? We are, as a lot of people know, we're in the discussion phase with our cities to assure that we have a certain amount of flow coming up to the landfill.
That is correct.
Yeah, and what kind of timeline are we looking at on this new stage 5 construction of the landfill? Do we need that right now, or and is it maybe premature because we don't know for sure how much we're going to be guaranteed from the cities?
So we have enough capacity in our existing stage 4 for about 2 years or so, maybe 3 years. And it takes about a year or so to construct the liner construction project. This project, stage 5, is at 100% design phase. We're just waiting for the budget to be adopted to go out to bid for this project, which would be sometime in November, December timeframe that we would go out to bid. And then construction would be awarded in April of fiscal year 2027. It's a very tight window between the remaining capacity in stage 4 and the construction of stage 5. We've consumed a lot of that space up until earlier this year, so the space has been heavily consumed in stage 4. We potentially could defer it maybe one more fiscal year. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Trent. This is coming out of the enterprise fund. Is that correct?
This is all your fund balance.
Yes.
This would deplete your fund balance.
A significant portion of it, correct? Yeah. So we're at the 100% design phase at the moment.
All right, and so we could defer that then for a year, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
We've got sufficient space out there, and we don't know for sure what our flow is going to be because there is a new landfill over, it's not a new one, but it's been purchased by a waste company, and they're pulling some of that flow off our normal flow, and that's what we're negotiating. And so would it be better if we waited to see how much of that flow will be guaranteed?
That would be one factor. Also, we could budget, wait for bids to come in concurrently, or maybe down later this year or FY27, if we wanted to amend the budget, we could do that as well. We have options there, I guess, ultimately. So we are in the design phase. It's 100% complete. We will be submitting it for DEQ approval later this month. And then thereafter, it takes about 6 months for DEQ to approve the construction of this project. And once the project is completed, it's about another 6 months for DEQ to approve the construction of Stage 5. So there is about a year, 6 months in front, 6 months after from DEQ approval requirements. So that's why we try to have at least 1 year of capacity in Stage 4 to up to a year and a half to give us that grace period. So it will be tight if we defer it until fiscal year 2028.
Okay.
So I think we could proceed with going out to bid and see what the numbers look like. Because of petroleum prices being extremely high, that may correct itself between now and this time or later this year in January or December timeframe. But I just to make the statement that we should not do it, I think we want to have options available for ourselves.
What would be the best options?
I think to proceed like we're gonna do it and wait till the bids come in before we make that final decision. And also having more information from the cities would be helpful as well.
So we could, it wouldn't affect our fund balance needed.
That is correct.
Because it comes out of our enterprise fund.
That is correct.
And we do have, but that would pretty much wipe out our fund balance, would it not?
A significant portion of it. I think the enterprise fund balance right now is about $35 million.
But we have to have that for ongoing expenses
That is correct.
for closure and post-closure.
Right, there's a separate allocation for closure and post-closure as well. That's outside of the closure, post-closure fund.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Well, I'm torn with this one because of back to what we said in terms of the future versus the present and the deferral. I guess that's why the question is, we could, if we removed it, it would be a tighter time frame to deal with it if we needed to, but it wouldn't be impossible, I guess. Is my,
And the commissioners, again, will have the opportunity to make a decision whether we defer that project in the future. I think it would be wise just to keep it in the forecast, and then we can always adjust later.
Okay, I have a question for the clerk on this. How does this affect our overall budget?
The overall budget, this
Right.
would be included in the overall budget.
So then it would raise our budget that amount.
Yes,
Yeah. For instance, last year, what was our budget was $1.85 million less than the year before.
that's correct.
And if we put 24.7 million into it, it wouldn't have
It
been.
would be increased $24 million.
So that, the total overall budget makes a difference in how we look at it.
Yes, it would, to answer your question, it would include in the total budget, yes.
Right. All right. Okay. All right. Well, so I guess we got a decision to make. Do we want to, because it seems to me like we could get by deferring it, but it'd make it on a little tighter time frame, right? We could still, because we got all the engineering, all the planning done, correct? We're just ready to go out for a bid.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. And construction-wise, obviously, we want to do this during the months of April through November timeframe. So it's important when we go out to bid sometime in December, January timeframe to ensure that we're able to get a contract in place for the,
And we can see closer because it
Bless you.
is my view that there's a lot of petroleum in a landfill right?
That is correct.
Because the whole
The entire liner system is
whole
petroleum.
liner system is petroleum, basically. And that's a big part of the expense
That is correct.
is the cost of petroleum. And it is my view that it's already going down today. It went down another $5 a barrel or something like that. And I think as things progress, so it may benefit us to put this on hold, because we can always come back in if it looks like it's beneficial to us. We can always come back in and open up our budget. Can we not do that?
That's correct, sir.
Mr. Chairman, that's exactly what I was just going to say. It's the reverse option of what you said. We can open it, rather than keeping it in there and not using
That's okay.
it, we could actually not keep it in there and come back and if things evolve to.
And we can still go out to bid.
That was it. I was going to ask that question. If we can go out to bid, that'd be great. Just
We
to
can
see
still
what the
go out to
prices-
bid, and then we can make a decision whether we want to throw it back in, put it back in the budget
Perfect.
or not,
Perfect.
when we see what that is.
And at that point in time as well, we can do our capacity update for stage 4 to show how much capacity we have remaining in stage 4 when we get those figures, and we can do that balance assessment.
Well, now, aren't you doing that the pancake thing?
Correct.
Isn't that increasing the capacity?
Yep. And our engineer of record does the analysis in September. They'll do the annual capacity analysis from the previous fiscal year, and we'll have those updated figures as well to assess capacity
Okay.
remaining in stage 4, along with updated costs for financial assurance. And we'll have a better idea what petroleum prices are looking like. As long as we're able to still go out to bid, that would be helpful.
Right. So, just so people understand that we're not joking, we said pancake thing.
That is
That is
correct.
actually a pancake packing. Could you explain that a little bit so that if anybody's watching, they can understand what it is? We understand it, but I'd like the public to understand.
Yeah,
it.
last week I communicated in the presentation for the budget, for solid waste budget. Essentially, we're changing from packing on a traditional slope method to a horizontal plane, essentially increasing the density of the compactor and between that and the waste mass, I should say. So we're hoping to increase capacity by 10 to 15 years over the life of the project, which will help us create about roughly another $205 million in additional revenue for the facility.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, thank you for having him explain that, because that's one of the things that you did for our landfill when you came, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Because otherwise, this would have been more of an academic
We're definitely
exercise.
trying to maximize airspace as much as
Right, well,
possible and
and
be
not o-
responsible on our capital projects as well.
Well, not only maximizing the space, but it's less wear and tear on our equipment too, isn't
That's
it?
correct.
A lot less wear and tear when you're just going flat as it goes on a slope.
Versus having to climb 50% of the time, essentially.
Yeah, so it does so our equipment lasts longer and costs less to maintain it, correct?
That is correct.
Well, good. Well, I thank you. I think we can arrive at a decision on that.
Appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And we can do that. So, okay, we found you. I think we need to defer this.
And I would agree with that, so we have two people.
What do
Okay.
you think?
Yes.
All right, you got three.
All right, now we have the Lucky Peak radio addition to Trunkton Network and the Lucky Peak radio shelter replacement. Again, both of these are fund balance in a separate fund that will not affect that top dollar. You have any questions on them? I believe Steve O'Meara is here. There he is there.
Yeah. Come up and give us a pitch.
Yes, explain, Mr. Chairman, what this means if we have it and what it means if we don't have it.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Happy Monday. The sheriff asked me to step up on this. He had to step out. Basically, this is a replacement of a radio tower that is out near Lucky Peak, and both the, all the equipment that goes and broadcasts our radio systems go within a shelter. You see that has its own cost, and they're adding a site to that area out there. There's a good portion of Lucky Peak where Sheriff's Marine Patrol is out, and they have no radio coverage just on the way that the lake is built, where they're not able to talk back into dispatch. The idea is to not just replace that shelter where the equipment is, but actually move the entire site, and they'll actually get far better coverage that way. If they don't do that, they would have to build a second site, and you'd be looking at to complete coverage on the lake. You would be looking at similar to a doubling of this. So the picking up the one they have and putting it in this new location will increased communications out there for public safety.
Now, I just paid for my cell phone bill. Did I pay for part of this?
Yes, sir, you did.
I just want to make that clear that this is not coming from any property tax. It's coming from the fee we get when people pay their cell phone bill.
That's correct, sir.
And what's that, $1 a month or
It's
something?
$1 a month per landline or cell phone that has a billing address in Ada County.
In any county. Okay, all right, I think I got it. Thanks. Well, I think we've established that we can do that. I think, I'm one.
I would agree.
Yes.
There you go. You got 3.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we've been going for an hour and 20. May I request a 10-minute break, and then we'll reconvene and start with EOEs?
Well, it's 10:19. We'll take a break till, we'll reconvene at 10:30.
Okay, thank you,
How's
sir.
that? I agree. Thank you.
Wait till the end.
If we could go ahead and continue.
Between the cities and the collections. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair, we're looking at EOEs now, extraordinary operating expenses that have come in over budget.
So that's what EOE stands for?
That's what it stands for.
Extraordinary operational expenses.
I can't say magnetometers or whatever it is, but I can say extraordinary.
All right, good enough.
So first up, the Transformation Board did rank the sheriff's request for jail mobile kitchen expenses for the additional food operating out of the mobile kitchen for $418,000 as urgent and important. And then there was the jail security control system, which was labeled as important and non-urgent. So those are the two EOEs within the normal fund that would impact that top dollar for your consideration. Do you have any questions or concerns on either of those?
Well, I don't think there's any question. We've already got the bids out for the kitchen remodel. Don't we have that all bidded out? And when are we planning on starting that construction to where we have to have the sheriff, the kitchen, mobile kitchen? Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Chairman, so we do have those bids already out there.
Yeah.
As soon as we can get the civil work, all the groundwork and everything done behind there, then we'll start working on getting that mobile kitchen put in. But the bids and everything, I think we already have the finalization to the bid.
On the mobile, and when will that start? Sometime,
I don't have the date, but it should be this year.
this fiscal year,
I believe so.
this calendar year.
November.
Okay, so we need to do that, and that's already been bid as well, the mobile kitchen, correct?
Correct.
And now, let me understand that. We're not going to be using inmates as much as to help on the preparation of these meals, or are we?
Mr. Chair, we will still be using inmates to prepare the meals, yes. We've just had to change some of the food that we serve, which we've gotten some waivers from Idaho Sheriff's Association to say, hey, we're going to have to do this as to serve this type of food and change, some of the utensils and plates and things because we won't have our industrial dishwasher. So we are changing some things, but the inmates will still be preparing meals.
Okay, all right. And they'll be preparing the meals outside the jail?
Technically, yes, but we will still have perimeter and extra security.
So we beefed up the perimeter security?
So the part of the construction was augmenting the security in that area as part of the construction phase. And then we do have plans for some extra deputies for security. And then we don't have to get into it now, but part of my supplementals was the food service officer on my supplementals also play into that, but we can talk about that when we get there.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any? All right, good, thank you. Well, I think the item in the red, we definitely need to say yes on.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll leave that in there. For the jail security control system, for the $1.585 million there.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
That's the one we talked about, that it would be a potential to be paid for with the foregone, correct?
That's a potential for it, yes, sir.
So if we leave it in there and we can come back and maybe adjust if we keep the foregone in there,
Good.
that one, then it could be that one or something else.
Could any of that be paid with the impact fees we've collected?
Oh, that's a question for your COO, I think. Still here?
Impact fees.
Impact fees paid for jail security system. Probably not currently, but once.
New growth relief.
That's it, yeah.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, that's a tough one because the impact fees can only pay for the growth-related stuff at the jail. And so we have to be kind of careful. It's not the entire jail project. It's only some of the growth-related, so can pay a share. I think that probably a bridge too far for that system.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
go ahead.
Question, Steve. So the security system could not be attributed to growth because of the increased population and the increased what we're doing? That's what you're saying? And I'm not questioning whether we should or shouldn't.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Daley, if there's a percentage of it, that's why it gets kind of weird. If there's a percentage of it or a portion of the cost that's related to what we need going forward because we're having more people, you potentially could do that. But the entirety of the system, that would be a challenge.
We can nuance that back to what I was saying before in terms of the foregone, et cetera, correct? Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, well, if we can use that for that being the ongoing or the one-time foregone?
One time.
One time. And that would take up the lion's share, wouldn't it?
5.1 million, yeah, it'd take up
Big share
a
of it.
portion of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we say?
I say yes.
I say yes.
Yes.
Okay. On to the FY26 committed EOE applications. I believe the jail management system, but I'll let the sheriff speak to that. I believe that is completed, so no more funds going forward needed, correct? He only heard the no more funds, so he's.
Double check that. I know it's complete, but I got to.
Okay. Yeah, so that one could be a no because they require, or should be a no because they require no more additional funds for it. Is the board okay with a no on there?
Well, yeah, we have,
Okay. Just making sure, I'm not the one making these decisions.
okay.
All right, for the CAMA property tax system, that's that total bill of 4.5 million. We have 937 held over, in addition to the 3.562 million there.
Now, does that include implementation and the cost of the software?
That's everything, outside of licensing, which is going to show up as an ongoing expense later on as a supplemental.
So we can use this in a one-time expenditures from,
Potentially. I think there's a question there. We'd need legal to weigh in on it to make sure that it's a capital expense, but we can definitely have them do that.
okay? Well, I think we're far enough down the road that we need to implement that one. What do you say?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, that's a commitment we've made. It's just a matter of how and when we pay for it.
Yep. So I take it that's at least, looks like 3 yeses?
Yes. Yeah, and we'll need to 'cause see, I think it clearly fits under the foregone one-time expenditures. I really think it does.
Okay.
But we'll have to do a little more exploration, but we'll figure that out. Okay, thanks.
For the Ada County Comprehensive Plan update, I believe Richard Beck has an update on this. I don't believe it's going to require another $350,000, but I'll have him come up and
All right.
brief that.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. As I mentioned in my presentation, the contract for the project was signed last week. We'll diligently start work in the next 4 months for this fiscal year. Working with the consultants, estimated approximately about $40,000 will be expended this fiscal year. So we could reduce this amount to $220,000.
Okay,
Okay. I don't have a problem with that if that,
all right.
because it's important we do that master facilities plan like we talked about.
So we'll reduce it to 220, correct?
Correct.
All right,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Anthony, are you changing my number? Thank you. All right, and then I assume that that's a yes from the board?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we have computer-aided dispatch system upgrade for $2 million and the X-ray and magnetometer replacement project. Both of those are funded through fund balance in emergency communications and trial court administration respectively. Any questions on those or additional information that you would like?
Any questions? No. Nope.
Okay.
No to
Say
the
that's a
questions
nope
yet.
to no questions. Is
No to
it
the
a yes to
questions,
funding
yes to
them?
the fund.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, we're now into supplementals. So we can just start working through this list and continue chipping away at the numbers at the top. For appraisal and land records, they have several items in here that are all funded through ad valorem fund balance. High performance GIS workstation, cubicle redesign, office furniture replacement, fee appraisal for district court case replacement computers, and CAMA performance incentives. Are there any questions or concerns on any of these?
No.
Okay. I take it a yes on all of them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the confusing part, the yeses and the nos.
I know, we'll get through this.
Cubicle redesign, that wasn't a part of the overall remodel going on there?
Not, this is in the assessor's office.
Oh, that's right, okay.
As part of the Assessor General budget, there's a request for $14 million, or $14,000 in mailing costs for assessments. This is where the $1 million for licensing comes in, and then another $6,000 incentive split between ad valorem and in this budget to pay for incentives for those that will actually do the implementation. Any questions on any of these?
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman? The 14,000, and this would be for the assessor's office, is that possible to come out of either current year or, can you find it somewhere else, I guess, is my question.
Commissioner, we have gone back and looked at the budget, and in our admin budget, I mean, that one is really tight. Basically, we're just paying our expenses within that one, but I can go back and talk to our staff again, but preliminary sign says no. But I know, I was under the impression that one was covered through our funds to offset.
Okay.
Now, isn't this subscription cost so much per individual that uses it?
So the subscription is just through our vendor, and that's just based more so on parcel number, so it's based on about 240,000 parcels.
Oh. No.
It's based on parcels, not on, Mr. Chairman, on parcels, not users.
Correct. And that fund, the 14,000, we don't have much leverage, but on the $1 million subscription, there could be a little leeway right there too, so.
On the $1 million subscriptions.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
How much leeway do we have? Go ahead.
go ahead and ask for the leeway, but if we could come back to that one and see where we are, but thank you for doing that, and we can put that in our portfolio to potentially use. Or we can put it now. What would be the,
On our CAMA subscription?
Yeah.
The $1 million, we are still in negotiations on everything, but we could probably bring that down about $100,000.
so it would be 900,000
Right.
instead of a million?
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I would say we do it. 100,000 less. And for that matter, if it doesn't work, we can always open the budget up and try to figure out to fix it.
Should I just put 9 million in there, Anthony?
Oh.
9 million.
There's 900,000.
Mr. Chairman, especially since that's a work in progress, what
Yeah.
he said, we may, budget-wise, that's a question for you, Clerk. If we could come back and if they needed to, we could address that, correct?
We could.
Yep. Okay.
So yes on those three then?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, you've already fixed that one, haven't you?
Yes, and it's gonna say yes in here because you're technically approving it, but I will find the money in my budget. So Anthony's gonna go on the back end and take that 34,000 out as a supplemental and rework the one line item within my budget to eliminate it. So I have on record that you're okay with me spending this $34,000. I'm just doing it within my base budget. And we'll do that with the others on here as well.
Okay.
So you're already taking care of that? Okay, thank you. All right, for commissioners, you have several line items here, professional services.
These are all additions.
These are all supplementals above and beyond what I think you've currently been paying for these, with the exception of the emergency management, which you did approve last year, but again, we put it in this year to make that flow of funds for emergency management steady based off their grant.
Right, because that's been fluctuating.
Yep. So any questions on any of these, any changes you'd like to make?
Well, there's
or-
some of them that we don't have much control over. For instance, on the Compass one, that's just split up amongst the various partners. And same thing with the
Allenbaugh.
Allenbaugh House. But I think we could talk about that Valley Regional Transit.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to talk, I'm on that.
Go ahead.
Executive board, that one and the professional services as well, but, excuse me. Last year they asked for, excuse me, I can't remember what it was, but we reduced it last year. They came in and actually reduced the request, but it was an increase over what we did give them last year. I would suggest, and this is the increase they wanted, I would suggest we remove that increase and fund them at their level we funded them last year, which is, if we remove that $30,679, that would be the case. And with this kind of an explanation, I think we have the responsibility as a community in Treasure Valley to keep a core process for regional transit, because we are going to be growing, and at some point in time, we will have the people to to be able to qualify to use the mass transit more than we do now. So that gives us a maintenance in essence, but not expanding. So that would be my suggestion to the board, to remove that 30,679.
Well, I think you're being a little penurious there. We could probably go more if we wanted to make an impact. However,
that's true, we could, but
we don't know for sure what the, 'cause I know this is Treasure Valley Transit, and I believe the city of Nampa has had some pretty aggressive discussions in that regard. I don't know for sure what they're gonna do. I know Canyon County's not gonna fund them anything. And I know Eagle pulled out, Star pulled out. So how much are we currently given to Valley Regional Transit?
that's Steve question. I can't remember what it was. Totally, 100 and something.
69.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, you fund them at $133,003. And they did come in this year and ask for 163. If you just held them flat, that would represent $30,679.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I did go to the Nampa City Council when they had this discussion, and they were looking at using other methods, lift and other things. And I think that is one thing that I think we should work with Valley Regional Transit to try to see what we can do. In the meantime, keep the core of a transportation system going, but not overly fund them, and see if we can use other methods. And that's what City of Nampa is looking for, and some of the other people are looking for as well.
Well, I think to their credit, they are doing things to boost their revenue, and one of them is BSU football games. They make a profit on those, and it's a benefit to the community to have their buses. I don't know where they pick them up, but they pick them up at a certain place and then they deliver them down to the football game. And that's actually happening with our professional soccer as well. That's being a positive. And so I think I think we should support them to the degree that they are doing things to boost their revenue and to boost their benefits to the community.
Mr. Chairman, because one of our items here is for the emergency services or emergency management. And when we look at their budget, one of the things that they count on in an emergency is they don't have buses, they don't have anything, but they rely on a contract with them in an emergency to be able to use VRT equipment for that kind of an emergency. So I think that's what I was talking about in terms of maintaining the base without, I don't think we should do away with the base because it affects other things. But I don't think we have the money, especially in the budget we're facing right now, to increase it.
Well, okay, I'd say let's pull that 30 grand, the 3679 out. That's it. That's one yes.
Well, that's one no.
One no, two no.
Yes to the no, yes to the no.
Yes to the no.
What about this one here?
Yes to the no.
Okay.
All right, any other on there that you would consider or have any questions over?
Well, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. The professional services, one of the things that we've been working on as a county is analyzing our water situation and recharge and those sorts of things. We are now working with, this is a placeholder, as it were, working with the state water board because they have grants. Some of those require matching funds. And we want to participate in some of those that are critically important to analyze our water situation and what we can do to it. So that's a place, or as it were, and we may not actually use that, but we want to keep it there so that if they're one of those grants we get, we have the funds to be able to match.
Okay,
That sounded like one yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Then the Humane Shelter, Compass, and Allenbaugh houses?
Yeah, we have to, those are commitments that we've made to the whole board as a whole. And we don't, in fact, with the Compass, that's part of the memorandum of understanding that we have with Compass. So,
Shelter's not the same.
it's not the same thing, but all the other parties to it have agreed to the budget, correct? Because you're on the board, right?
The Allenbaugh House you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I meant the,
Humane Society,
Oh, the Humane Shelter, oh,
because they did ask for a maximum increase as well in terms of 3%.
that's what that is, that's 3%
Yeah,
for them?
that's their increase that they ask for. And Mr. Chairman, just as a comment on that, I think that's a valuable service to the community that they provide, and we're a part of that. And I certainly don't want us to get into a situation that Canyon County's had in terms of Humane Society. So that's why I would support that one as well.
Sure.
Okay. Compass,
Go ahead. You're gonna talk about emergency services?
I was going to say that to the last one, but just walking through Compass and Allenbaugh houses, any
Yes.
objection to any of those? And then finally, within your budgets, the emergency management.
All right, now the one time is, isn't that sort of a contingency in case the federal grants that we get for that does not come through?
That's correct. It's more like a gap because they won't have access to that funding if they do get it for a while. And so I think it's just helping them.
I'm sorry, so this year would not be contingent, because we need to front fund this so they can have the money to spend before the grant funds come in. So this would be a payment going out the door. It's still a one-time, but it's an infusion of cash into emergency management ahead of the game, so they're not consistently waiting on the grant in order to.
So that could be one of the one time with the foregone.
Yes, and it's marked as such, 250 in one time.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
just my understanding, about to clarify what Tim just said. Right now, because of the timing of when they get their federal grant funds, so this is kind of like a bridge loan that they have so that we can actually provide the funding as in the temporary, so they can keep going during those times, because we have a different fiscal year, different grant period that they have to deal with. So that's what we're really funding, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. And so that's a yes for me.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to the coroners. All of his supplementals are one-time requests. I do believe that he has gone back and looked at his budget. I would ask the chair if he can come up and talk to some of these real quick.
Yeah. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Yes.
We went back through and reevaluated, and we would like to voluntarily remove some of these.
Okay.
And I'm just going to start with, this morning was confirmed that the lighting for the trucks, our good friends at procurement have found funding for that, so I can take that off the supplement. The printing, we're just going to absorb that. The laptop, we found another budget line we can use to get that this year. And the other two, 6 and 7, the emergency preparedness budget increase and the mass fatality containers, we can cover with this year's budget.
So what does that leave?
I'm sorry?
Which one does that leave?
I
then?
was going to ask the same question. Walk us through.
Does that leave the morgue supplies?
So
Leave the
the,
morgue supplies, the training, and the microscope.
so no on the truck lights,
Correct.
no on the printing supplies.
Correct.
No on the specialized laptop.
Correct.
Emergency preparedness division
No.
and cremation container.
Correct. That's a no as well.
So the rest of these would still be a requirement.
Yes.
Well, then, on the morgue supplies, is that for increased autopsies?
No, it's with all the consumables that go with it. Like, for example, body bags, PPE. What we're running across and have for a couple years is we need that cushion because of the market fluctuations, supply chains. Some of that has eased a little bit. But this would be more like, I don't have to come to you later in the year and ask you for it.
Okay. All right. Now,
The microscope,
Yes?
can you talk about the microscope?
Microscope, that's for our third pathologist. The equipment that we have right now is outdated and we can't fix it if it breaks. So this one is first of all, it's the same one as that the other doctors have. So if something happens with this microscope, we can swap parts over and that kind of thing. But that is essential to his job to do his analysis and determination of cause and manner.
now, this CAT scanner training, that's for that free CAT scanner we got, right?
Correct.
How much does that cost us for the free CAT scanner, including the training?
Well, I don't remember how much that was to put that bad boy in there, but I think it was right around 150, I think it was.
Oh, we had to spend more.
150,000 for a just shy of $1 million piece of equipment.
Yep.
And then the training is 7,000, and we bring that person in. We don't send someone away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay. Well, I'm good for yes for the other three items.
What are the other three? I'm a yes on those as well.
Okay. District Court TCA electronic docket display system. Currently, that's being funded by fund balance from the district court, so that wouldn't affect the overall fund balance. Do you have any questions on that project that you would like answered, or?
No. Yes.
Okay.
Does IT have any way to get costs down on that? Maybe used monitors or anything we got in stock?
I do not know.
Hello again, Chairman Beck, Commissioner Davidson. The bulk of the expense there is actually the way that the screens work. The monitors are less expensive. We don't have a lot of back stock on old equipment, especially monitors, because they just sort of burn out. But each one of those needs a PC, and that's what a good portion of that dollar amount is for. Also for the
There's a PC for each monitor?
that's how it works, so that each courtroom knows what it's supposed to have itself, right?
I thought it was supposed to be one person inputting it for every courtroom on there.
It's one person doing, as far as I understand, it's one person does the entire county, and then the system knows what those courtrooms are, and so it broadcasts through PC at each courtroom what's happening that day, if that makes sense. And then there's also some construction with operations to mount it and run, they gotta run power and that sort of thing is also included in that price. Drywall work, et cetera.
Well, I had the Supreme Court, they kind of went on their own way. They have their own equipment.
They do not provide electronic dockets or any sort of display within any of the courthouses anywhere. The information comes out and, as I understand, is delivered to the TCAs, and the TCAs have some way of displaying it. I think most courtrooms, most courthouses are doing what we're doing here, which is maybe a display in the entryway, and then everything else in front of the courtrooms are all printed out on sheets of paper, and then updated throughout the day as court continues. We've got obviously 27 courtrooms in this building and 3 more out of juvie, so it keeps those folks hustling.
Okay.
These gonna be touch screens?
No, they will not be interactive. They'll only be displays.
All right, got any more questions? All right, go ahead.
No, I don't.
All right, go ahead.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, I think we, you don't even have a place for a yes or no there, do you, or do you? Yeah,
It's right there.
okay. Well, and that's coming out of our court fund.
Court fund balance.
Okay. I'm yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next here, Commissioners, you have the contingency for personnel. I explained that during my brief last week. As a reminder, that's in case we get tight on payroll towards the end of the year. This is just a very small portion of what the 2% that isn't budgeted for departments in their personnel budget will cover, plus also the parental leave. For the contingency and operating, I might make a suggestion here. We've, for the last several years, budgeted $1 million. We have rarely, if ever, touched it. This is one of those areas, if you're looking to find some savings, I think based off this historical use rate of this particular line, we could come down to $750,000 and still feel very comfortable. Also, given that we can always open the budget and tap into fund balance if we need it.
So we could come down $500,000 then.
If you wanted to come down $500,000, we could.
Right.
Mr. Chairman? Where, if we, because we're still talking with the state and the cities regarding rats, where would we get that money if we needed to?
Well, that's a $1 million question.
That's what he said, it's going to be $1 million. That's why I asked the question.
You could potentially use money out of this fund. We could also, if necessary, open the budget. There is a healthy fund balance in weed pest mosquito So they have fund balance in those line items as well.
Okay. So just to clarify, based on history of usage, you're saying 750, Chairman said 500, so we can consider that. But on the personnel, that estimate is based on the same thing historically, what we've needed slash.
1.4 million, I would say not touch that because that is truly personnel contingent and we need to make sure that we have that in there depending on how many babies are born next year and how many people we have turnovers in certain departments. Some of the smaller departments, they don't have high turnover rates. In fact, some of them don't have any turnover rates. And because we only budget them at 98%, sometimes that comes up to play here towards the end of the year. The larger departments have enough turnover where we're not really hitting the wall on those, but those smaller ones, we do want to put contingency aside for those. So that's included in that 1.4.
So I would say yes to that one. And
Okay, I'd say yes.
Yes.
And then would you want to alter the $1 million here?
Yeah, I'd like to lower that to 500,000.
Okay, I have a second on that.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is that the right block to put it in, Anthony? Both? Thank you. All right, on to human resources. We're chipping away at this, commissioners. Human resources, they have a lobby remodel with some additional furniture as a one-time request for supplemental. Executive recruitment, internal communications and engagement platform software, and then the listening tour identified leadership development customized program, which is also one time. The two there that are ongoing are the executive recruitment and the internal communications and engagement platform. Any questions or additional information you would like on these?
You have any questions?
Actually, my question, I don't know if it, I guess the lobby remodeling and the furniture, because that's the largest items there, but, and the listening, I guess start at the bottom, the listening tour. Question as far as balancing, and I don't know if Bethany wants to talk about that in terms of balancing all these items, because I have a feeling that I want to remove some of them, but I don't want to remove it in terms of what, I'd like her comments first.
Chairman, Commissioner Daly, thank you very much. As far as balancing of these items that are here in front of you, number one, the comp analyst position was number one. Number two is the lobby remodel. The reason for that is that we currently have 2 employee relations staff members who are not in offices, and their ability to meet with clients and to efficiently deal with confidential personnel information, sometimes medical information, other factors there is very limited. So this is very much a need, not necessarily a want. It's not as though we just need extra offices. So that would be number 2 in the mix. In regards to the listening tour, that was a placeholder early on from some bids that we received for outside training. As the project has continued, I do believe my staff has looked at some ways where they might be able to complete this within their own bandwidth, at least for part of the year. And so we could delay that and possibly reprioritize other things within my budget for the 80,000. I do also think, executive recruitment, you're very well aware, that has to do with hiring for directors. So if I needed to come for contingency funding, I would ask for that. And then last, on the communications, this is a really important one from a standpoint of we can have better metrics to watch what's happening, particularly with our benefits communications out to our employee population. That being said, I do feel confident I could find that within my current funding. So of all the items in front of you, and then specifically to the one time, the preference would be for the lobby remodel. The development program I can otherwise handle elsewhere.
Okay, I have a question. How did you arrive at the 150,000 for a remodel?
Actually, Bob Carney was of great help, and we had architects come in and come back with a bid for us, and that's how that came in. So the specs and the design and the architecture work has already been done to help us to come up with what that, and not us, but for the quote to come in. So that is directly in partnership with Ada County Operations and the architect.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
yeah, go ahead.
You see, the lobby remodel is to have a private spot where we can talk to applicants if they've got confidential information?
Yeah, Chairman, Commissioners, essentially our lobby area, this was designed back in a day when it was HRM procurement and there were a lot more cubicles up in that space. We have very empty, unused space in our lobby. So essentially it is making the lobby smaller and adding 2 confidential offices that can be utilized for our employee relations staff and then also other staff that may need a private space to be able to go to. Our conference rooms and smaller rooms that we have within our space just simply are in such use on the regular that we're unable to utilize those as needed for some of the personnel matters that we deal with.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what you're saying is the lobby remodeling, if you have to, it would be lobby remodeling and then no to the others?
Correct, that would be correct. I can find, for the ongoings, I can definitely find those within budget and/or some of our internal resources. And we could look at the listening tour from an outside agency if needed at a later time period. But the lobby remodel is the number 1 priority on this list in front of you today.
So it would basically reduce that by more than half?
Correct.
Your total request, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I could accept our director's recommendations.
And I would agree with that as well.
Okay, so yes to these first 2, and then no to these following 3.
Right.
Okay, on to information technology. 3 supplementals, all of them are ongoing for IT cost increases, IT growth increases, IT net new, for a total of $1.27 million. Any questions or amplifying information you would like for these?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
I guess asking the same question we've asked everybody else to Steve, Information Technologies. Is there anything there that we can find or that you've been able to find that not necessarily eliminate all of them, but fine tune them?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Daly, the first 2 of those are effectively keeping the lights on for IT, and particularly the cost increase. There's really nothing we can do there. We work with county procurement to make sure that we buy things as inexpensively as possible. PA Civil is on all of our contracts to make sure we're buying them legally and also protecting ourselves. When they raise the rates, they raise the rates. Being a government entity, we're not allowed to have multi-year contracts. That makes it very hard to control what happens in IT beyond 12 months. It's very, very difficult. And then the growth, we discussed somewhat at length during my presentation. That is just more usage by the county. We don't really have staff or systems that help us get our arms around what's being used and what's not. It has to be done by hand effectively. And with over 2,000 users and thousands of computers, it's hard to track by hand where everything is installed. The third one includes a system that will do some of that for us, automated, which will help. However, even if we could, let's pretend we could do it easily today, we might be able to affect that second number, find some folks that we could turn off their licensing, but it's not going to make that number go to 0. I mean, everyone that I work with across the county, electeds and departments, are pretty judicious about what they use. And so maybe there's some folks who have found their jobs have shifted and they're not going to use a particular license anymore, but the onesie-twosies like that isn't really going to make that number go down. In thinking about anticipating being here in front of you to talk about this for the last week, nobody meets with IT to say we want to use less technology. And when folks, and everyone behind me does as much as they can with, more for less or more with less, a lot of times technology is relied on. Now, I get that I'm stumping for my department, but these are really systems and licenses that the county is using itself. So I want you folks to think about that. What that means, if you cut into those first two, I mean, I don't know how you cut against cost increase. You can take a risk and limit the amount of, that's our projected growth increase for number of licenses that we're looking at for next year. We can cut into that, but it takes a risk that we run out of licensing for something and now somebody needs it. And then the third one, you want to call that the only thing IT is doing, if you will. One of them is a year-long project we've been running, and now it's time to pay for the licensing to turn that system up, which is our inventory system, which will do software license auditing for us, automated. And that's an enhancement. That's not even a new system. That's an addition to one we already have. And then the other one is to add money so we can continue to expand our data integration, data modeling that we started with Peregrine. Pull those two out, we really don't have, I won't be able to continue that project, have to park it for more than a year, because it'll take time to spin it back up. Say we get that budget for 28, that would be hard to bring back up. And then, Peregrine, for what we're doing at the enterprise level, will pause, and there will be some impact there. We're putting monies that paramedics would like to increase. Some of what they're doing with Peregrine would be included in that number. So I don't like having to cut into those. I think that's a rough thing to do or hard to do, because we talk about trying to make people efficient and trying to empower the county to be ready to do the things that the offices and the departments want to be able to do to be successful in their areas. And they rely on IT for a lot of that. So if you cut into this, it makes it harder for us to support them and being maneuverable so that we can satisfy what they're asking for.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess part of what I was looking at is because we get a report on dollars spent in the current year, and I know that's depends on, like Expo Idaho, they have the fair, so I mean you can't necessarily translate that. So do you have anything like that, or something like training and travel, something that could actually be deferred till next year without a major impact, like that one that you were talking about, the Peregrine? That is, I think, really important that we need to get online and running, because it's going to help us all the way through. But are there some other things like that that could help us?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Daly, we have a continuous life cycle line item that we have. It came out of the Transformation Board years ago. IT is always having to buy additional compute and storage and things of that nature, keep our servers operating, some life cycle in there for our networks. That is a pretty large line item in our major equipment line. So that's our life cycle program. We can look and consider kicking it down the road. The danger is if we've been maintaining a life cycle program saying this is what we're going to do for the future to try to control having giant spikes or getting behind the 8 ball with old equipment. And no one wants to spend $400,000 on servers. I mean, people just expect them to operate. We can look into that. That's probably really the only bank we have to dig into of any substantial numbers, considering what these look like. There might be tiny things, but if necessary, that's where I would look. And that's a risk game, taking things out on time. And like I said, we've been budgeting like that as a program, if you will. But that would be where we looked.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
So if we could contemplate doing that, kind of like we ask the landfill to do, something that's there, take it out, but we could actually come back to it. For example, if servers went down, et cetera, that's not an insignificant thing for the county. So the life cycle thing, could we reduce that and make it a contingent on like we did with the landfill, and say, okay, but if we have this thing happen, we can actually go into contingency and do it. Would that work, I guess, is really my saying.
We could. It's a matter of risk. It's risk and planning. we certainly can. That line item alone is less than half of that, so we're not going to be able to get all of it. But of the third piece there, what's called net new, meaning new systems, we could pay for that from there.
And what would be the amount that would be realistic in terms of, again, not putting us closer to the edge, but not right on the edge of the precipice?
I'm thinking of the items that we have planned to use in there next year. There's probably two we could get in the neighborhood of 250 or 200. One alone is 175,000. That is actually pushing out, replacing our AS400. There's some reason why we want to do one of them. That's not both of them. That's technically already a cutback. AS400 is what runs some of our older systems, CAMA today, if you will, that's coming up on needing to be replaced. We were only going to do one, just out of trying to be cost efficient. We could take a risk and push that one out and maybe get to where we're close to that third number. About half of that, I guess.
So the third number, instead of taking the 170, it would be cut what from that third one you're talking about then? What amount, 250,000?
About 250.
Okay. Well, that would be my recommendation then, Mr. Chairman, if that, again, puts us in a situation where, again, like we put the landfill in, it's there, we know it's there, it's real, but we have an ability to deal with it if we need to in the budget year. Would that work?
I think so. Like I said, it's about risk and planning, and there's no skin off my nose changing that planning. Right? I just don't like to do that. I mean, we're making that. I look at it. We'll make that decision together because the board instructs
Exactly.
IT department what to do, and we're okay with doing that.
Okay, well, I have a couple of questions for you then. On the growth increases, is that you mentioned it was the inventory portion that was not included, and it was a different type of inventory that wasn't included when we updated our financial planning system.
The inventory, Chairman Beck, the inventory system that we're looking to pay for is actually in the net new section. It's
Well, that's
not
in the net new one then.
Not in the growth increase section.
Oh, okay. And that's because we don't have the system that we have now does not account for everything, all of our inventory.
Correct. Our current ERP doesn't do assignment of devices to people. It just tracks overall how you purchase it, and then it tracks, I believe, depreciation. We don't depreciate small items like computers and tools and that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, now in the net new, when you made your presentation here, I asked you about Anthropic's Mythos.
Mm-hmm.
I've read another piece over the weekend. That's getting really more serious than I'd actually first contemplated. Is that included in here?
No, not necessarily. I mean, if we needed to shift due to something, that is a concern that we're watching and trying to figure out what to deal with. That's all brand new. The whole Mythos piece and Anthropic has come out in the last month or so.
Right.
Brand new. And they've even held it back because even the company is afraid of what it can possibly do.
Even the White House over the weekend put the skids on it for a while because they're afraid of some foreign powers getting a hold of that and messing us all up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or making their own,
right?
Most likely.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any more questions. Do you?
For now?
Nope.
No, I'm go with Tom's idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Was that clear?
Yeah. So 250,000 less in this line item. That's 225,000 remaining. Is that correct?
Which one?
The
net new.
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3.
And then yes to all 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, on to juvenile interpreter services and court monitoring devices, for a total of 18,000 ongoing. I believe Cody's here. Is he? Yeah. He has something he would like to speak on that behalf.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners.
Morning.
I was able to work with the TCA on this and find some alternative ways to fund this. So we would be willing to withdraw the need for the supplemental for the electronic monitoring and the interpretive services.
Good job.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
that's 18,000.
And then with parks, is Scott here? He's not here. I feel confident speaking. He came up and spoke during the briefings on Thursday that he could find an increase in revenue in these. I'm going to say yes to it, but Anthony, on the back end, you're going to increase the revenues to pay for it. Okay. So that is there, assuming that's okay with the board.
Sure. I think what he wanted to do is just highlight that we're gonna work cooperatively with the city of Boise to do the snag removal out of the Boise River for the opening of the river flow, which is happening this week, by the way.
All right. Mr. Chair, we're at 11:30. Would it be okay to take a 7 or 10-minute break and then come back and finish up? We've got one more hour scheduled after this. We're going till 12:30 today, at least on the calendar.
Okay, yeah, that's,
Or do you want to do a lunch break?
well, we could do that, or,
I think, Judy, you only had a schedule till 12:30 today. I think the board has other things this afternoon, correct?
yes, we do.
Yeah, so we can power through if you'd like till 12:30, or we could take a few-minute break and then resume.
Okay, well, let's take a few minute break, then we'll be back at 11. If we take 10 minutes, 11:35, 11:38, 11:40.
11:40.
We'll start at 11:40.
39.
Get a quorum up here at the commission level. Okay, we're back on the record. We're going to continue with this part of the setting the budget. We were down to prosecutor.
Prosecutor,
Go ahead.
I understand the prosecutor's not here. If you have questions on this, we could delay discussing this, or if you're okay approving it without further information or questions, we can move forward.
Well, from my understanding, this is from that new case management system, and I thought she had found some new revenue to offset it. Am I right?
Some of the cost of this, she has already included in her budget, and then the ongoing supplementals that she previously submitted in her budget, she did find savings for those. So this is still in addition to what is in her base maintenance budget.
Okay, so we'll still need so she needs this much.
She does need $132,750 to make this work.
Okay, and this could be a part of the foregone in the one-time spending.
Possibly, yes, sir.
Well, they'll have to make a decision then, won't they? Okay. Okay. All right, well, I'm a yes on that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so now on to public health. Mr. Chair, you'd asked me to pull up last year's budget associated with public health there. Last year, in this current budget, right now, there's $5,701,541 in property tax from Ada County taxpayers that is going towards funding public health in Central District Health. This year, they've asked for that addition that you can see on our sheet.
The addition of $171,100.
That's correct.
All right. Well, I think it's worthy of a discussion here at this point in time, because there are ways we could, because this all comes from property taxes. Because several years ago, when the people of the state of Idaho adopted a Medicaid expansion, the county was doing indigent medical care. And so we were going to save a little bit of property taxes on what we were doing, because that was sort of, the county would pay the first $11,000 and the CAT fund would pay the rest of it, the catastrophic fund. Well, they shifted that because we don't do that anymore, because that's all being paid by Medicaid. And they shifted and said, okay, because the state was paying for the more of this. In fact, most of this was coming from the state of Idaho. And that's why that's different fiscal years, because the Central District Health, this is all Central District Health. The Central District Health, they're on a different budget cycle than us. They're on the state budget cycle, but they're not state employees. And then we pick up the balance. Well, we've gone through that budget, and the way that budget works is the Central District Health, the board proposes a budget, and then the four county commissioners, one from each county commission, gets together and adopts the budget. Okay, and the way it works in the Central District Health is over 90% of the property taxes that's paid to Central District Health comes from Ada County property taxpayers. And we've looked through that budget, and there is one of the bigger items in their budget that's paid by property taxes is restaurant inspections. I don't know if very many people in here even recognize that. It's restaurant inspections, and the law sets how much a district health can charge for restaurant inspections, and the delta between how much the law allows the Central District Health to charge and how much it actually costs is over $1 million. It's about $1 million. It's about $1.1 million. Okay, if the legislature would simply allow the Central District Health to charge what the cost is to the restaurants, because I'm all in favor of making sure that our restaurants are inspected and making sure that we have safe food. I want to do that, but I don't want the property taxpayers of Ada County to have to continue to pay for it. I think the restaurants themselves should be paying for it. It's a fee. We could save over $1 million of that amount right there if we just had the law consistent with what it actually costs to do. Another area is WIC. I don't know, the Central District Health administers the WIC program. That's Women's Infants and Children. And that is a direct federal pass-through. But for some reason, and we're having Russ Duke, our executive director, he's digging into that. Because that's a federal program. It's a federal program that the State Department of Health and Welfare gets, and then they pass it to the different health districts, because it's a mandate that we do it by law, do the WIC program. There's about $1.3 million to $1.4 million delta there in what we actually get paid and what it actually costs to do it. And so we're hoping that we need more information on that because it's just a direct pass-through grant. But our property taxpayers are having to pick up about $1.3 million. And I think if we could work on that, it would lower that. Our property taxpayers would have a smaller amount. Hopefully we could get the state to pick up that cost instead of our property taxpayers. So the 171, we don't have any choice in that. The law dictates that we pay it. So I'm a yes on that, but I wanted to have this discussion so that people would know that we could save property tax dollars if we could encourage the legislature to give us the tools to do it, if they would alter the law and take a closer look at the pass-through on the WIC. We could save probably $2.2 million, at least, property taxes. Anybody else want to say anything? Go ahead.
Just another statistic to reiterate what the chairman's just said. The increase, the $171,000 increase of us is about $1,000 more than the total increase in their budget last year. So in essence, Ada County taxpayers are not only paying for the total increase, but they're paying for part of the increase that other counties would have normally been paying if they didn't give if they were to give the Central District Health the ability to actually charge fees where they are actually obligation to pay. So I would agree with the chairman. It's something we have to do because it's mandated by the legislature that we do it. It's a good service. The public does need good district health services, but it's a matter of who pays for it and how it's collected. So I would reiterate, just remind, again, back to what you said as well. In our recent Association of Counties meeting, we had legislators there, and one of them reminded us that we are creatures of the state, and so we respond to the state, and that's what we're doing, is responding to the state.
Well, and I might add, there's one thing where we can control, and that is the cost of septic inspections across the whole Central District Health. Just sort of to remind people, the Central District Health is Ada County, Elmore County, Boise County, and Valley County. That's what makes up all the Central District Health. And the Central District Health is required to do all the septic inspections in the whole district. Well, we discovered that they were not charging enough, and that's something that we can control because the state doesn't say you can't charge more than this. We can control that, and we've asked the board, and they're doing that, to consider, because we're paying a lot of property taxes for those septic inspections. And it doesn't seem like it's a good use of property tax dollars. The user should be paying more of those. That will bring it down somewhat too, but that's something we can control, and we're working with the board on doing that right now.
So I'm a yes on it because we have to say yes.
Yeah, well, we have to say yes on that one. Yep. But I wanted to have this discussion just so people would understand out there, because when we talked about it on the original budget presentations, some of our staff said, I had no idea that property taxes were being paid for restaurant inspections. But now you know.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to the sheriff, he has some line items here for supplementals. One associated with the new positions that he has funded within his budget, and also asked for some supplemental positions. Administration fees for the impact fees, we've already talked about that. That's something that we have to do in order for that growth to pay for itself. And then he has some radio life cycle project, Axon Taser life cycle project, both right now in here as one-time expenses. as well as the explosives detection canine unit for the courthouse. Ongoing requests outside of the impact fees are the Axon interview room hardware, professional services for mental health and resiliency, the Leo Tech Veris web application for jail investigations, and an increase in its overtime pay. Any questions or follow-up?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I would, again, back to what we've asked everybody else to do, and if the sheriff could do the same thing in terms of this list, kind of delineate if there are any things they've identified that we can either adjust, change, eliminate, whatever.
Welcome again.
Well, thank you. Chairman and Commissioners. You want to start with Clerk Triple's Big Rocks and go from there?
All right.
Okay, so let's look at the 2.7 million for the overtime increase. That was a suggestion from the audit committee to go through and do a historical deep dive on what we spend on overtime throughout the agency, bureau to bureau. Went through and looked at 10 years worth of data, went to 5 and 10, they were not much different, and came up with that number. Now that is some of the areas over time went down, some of it went up, some places we cut it out completely, but that's how we arrive at the 2.7 million. My suggestion to you would be that you cut that and not fund it. I understand the reasoning behind doing the study and the audit committees, wanting us to look at that. But what it doesn't account for are vacancies and salary savings. So we usually, basically what we do is we have a number that we get funded for overtime, and we historically can work within that number because of the salary savings from other places. And the only time that became an issue is when we didn't have any vacancies. And then we had to ask for a little bit of that 2% holdback to come back to us and make us whole because we don't get the 100% funding. My suggestion is we continue to operate that way. So like I said, historically, we have not had to come back to Clerk Triple and ask, hey, we got to get some of our 2% back. If you fund us with this 2.7 million, honestly, we probably won't ever spend it. And so we're tying up 2.7 million plus dollars in county money that can be applied elsewhere in the county. Again, because that number does not account for salary savings, and that's a moving target, month to month. But we are able to function within the model that we currently use, with the exception of the 1 year, again, where we didn't have any vacancies, so there weren't any salary savings, but that's not usually the case. So my suggestion is we keep going with the pattern that we've used for many, many years and not tie up that money to just sit at the sheriff's office.
Okay. So you wouldn't have quite as big a box or safe that you can bring back next year.
Say again, sir?
There wouldn't be as big of a give back, in other words, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so, I'd probably come back with whatever we would usually hand back in plus $2.7 million.
Right. And that's, that's, anything else on that list that you see?
Let's see. I think what we probably should do with the radio life cycle project, just because of some other things that have happened today within the budget, is we cut that in half. It's not ideal, but I think we can really work with it, and there's some things we can do by the end of the year. Next year, we'll be back with the same type of ask to get that to be an ongoing life cycle project, so we don't have to worry about it every year. But this year, I think if we cut that in half and do the one-time monies, then I think that'd be helpful for the budget, and we can get through that. The explosive detection canine unit for the courthouse. Chris, did you have that number I asked for?
$100,300. 100,300.
Okay, so that equipment factors in a vehicle. Right now, we have vehicles, and while, it's not something we should always do to gobble up something that is in our life cycle overturn, I think that we should get rid of 100, what is it, 100,000, 300?
$100,000.
$100,000. We should knock that down $100,000 because most of that cost is the vehicle. Now, that's assuming you fund the supplemental. Oh, no, that's all right. We already have the deputy. So, yeah, knock $100,000 off that.
Okay. All right. Well, while you're going, anything else?
Oh, geez. Nothing comes to mind unless you want to ask questions about anything else.
All right. Anybody else, any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
So on the mental health and resiliency, what does that go to? And didn't we hire somebody specifically to deal with those issues?
So we hired good question, Commissioner. We hired a mental health coordinator, but she is not specifically there to counsel every employee in the agency. We'd need 4 or 5 of those. So that goes to pay for EAP visits above and beyond what the county would normally pay for an employee, just because of the nature of the job that those specific detectives do. It's the Child Sex Crimes Unit. So just so we can fund them extra visits. The coordinator is more to try and get everybody the help they need, not to act as a counselor, even though sometimes she does. But her position is not geared towards every employee lines up at her door to get counseling. Like I said, we need a lot of her position.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, just as we look at these, because we're going to be looking at personnel probably tomorrow, but just as a juxtaposition in terms of personnel versus supplementals, and then the one-time versus ongoing, those are whole questions. Is there anything in here that, other than what you've already, so you've 3 actually, the 2.7 and then the 100,000 and then you said half of the radio life cycle, right?
Yes, so that would cut that down.
300 and whatever, almost.
350-ish.
Okay.
Some of those some of the, the items related to new positions, those are going to be contingent on whether or not the positions are funded. So if you didn't fund position A, equipment comes off of that.
Exactly. That's where I was going with it. So we need to juxtaposition those at some point in time.
That 200,000 may come down even farther.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Have you made those adjustments, Anthony?
Not yet.
The ones that the sheriff talked about?
I would like 2 yeses.
Yes, yes. Okay, so you got that, the half on the radio life cycle project, the removing 100,000 from the K-9, and then deleting the overtime, correct? All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I'm going to advocate just removing the K-9 line item. I just am having a hard time seeing in this budget cycle adding additional security to the courthouse when I feel we do have a lot of security here right now. So I haven't really seen a case be made for a separate bomb sniffing dog for the courthouse. So I'm going to vote to remove that item.
Well, I don't think that was to supplement the K-9. That was for a automobile or something, wasn't it, right?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my understanding. They are proposing to remove the vehicle but keep the rest of it.
Well,
Correct.
they're wanting to take it to remove $100,000
Right.
out of 114.
Correct.
I'm advocating to cut the
just
entire
do the
line,
whole
just
thing.
delete the entire line.
So it'd be an addition. So it'd be another 14,000 that would be eliminated. Is what your request.
Well, what do we say?
Oh, I don't have a problem with that, going along with what,
All right, well, there's two. Go ahead.
So is that 2 yeses to fund that particular line at 18,000 total with 14,000 roughly on one time?
That's
No,
for
he's-
zero.
he said zero.
Oh, 0. So I heard 2 to go, just say no on that. And then the others on here,
The no and the overtime and the cutting the radio life cycle in half.
they've done that, so would that cut yes to the radios?
Well, is that the cutting it in half?
Yep. Down to 270?
Yes. to
Or, I'm
cut
sorry,
it.
down to 348.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then the Taser Life Cycle Project at 270? That's one time again as well?
Okay.
And then yes, on the impact fees, on the equipment for the new positions, assuming some of those get approved. That number will fluctuate, obviously, as the positions are either approved or not approved. So-
Mr. Chairman, I would, again, like I was talking to the sheriff about, reserve this based on when we go through the personnel and look at our numbers up there at the top, I might want to come back and look at some of these.
Okay. Tentatively yes on that?
Yes.
Just so we get an accurate budget number. And then the Axon interview room hardware, mental health, and Leo Tech Veris web applications.
Yeah. I'm a yes.
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 Again, like I said, Mr. Chairman, this I would like to reserve the right to come back to, but based on that number, the red number, when we get to, after we did do personnel.
Okay. Moving on to these last few supplementals for operating and capital. Emergency medical services, 500,000 towards the Eagle Fire Station purchase for an additional EMS site. I don't think I saw John here. You want EMS? No. And that would be fund balance that he'd be using for that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can you put a yes in there, Anthony? He still froze on me. And then mosquito for the sale price increases for pesticide, software subscription increase, and temp payroll services cost increases, again, all coming under his fund balance.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Solid waste, the scale house optimization project for $1.74 million. Any questions or concerns before you vote on that?
Well, if Herb could come up, I have a couple of questions about that. Hello, Herb.
Mr. Chairman, how we doing, commissioners?
I understand that this scale house optimization project is to make it a little more easier to go through the scale house, correct?
Correct.
And because the volume, are we maybe jumping the gun just a little because we don't know for sure? We're in the process of negotiating with the cities to get a guaranteed flow. Would this be one of the same things that we could do like we did with the new, the 24 million?
There is the opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah, because we could, once we get because we're going to have a contract with the cities, I believe, but we don't know for sure what that will be. We could open this back up then later if we needed to do that, because clearly the scale house optimization is an important project, but if our utility of the scale house is going to continue to go down, because how much has it gone down since February? How many tons less?
So historically, we were seeing about 1,200 tons per day from one of the major franchise haulers. That's down to about 750-ish tons per day.
So it's gone down 500 tons.
That's correct.
And each one of those trucks is about 3.5 tons?
It's about 29 tons for a walking floor. The solid waste blue trucks are about 9 tons-ish. A roll-off truck could be anywhere from 3 to 5 tons, I should say. So the
That's
shortage
that.
we're seeing,
So that's that, you take 500, what's the amount of daily tonnage again that are down? We're down about 500 from 1,200 to
the
700?
franchise haulers, yes. Yeah.
About 500 tons? So that'd be that many fewer trucks going through unless we can get the cities to.
Right, and so where we're still seeing consistent flow is your mom and pop customers, as well as which is about 67% of our transactions, or 64. And the other percentage is your non-franchise commercial haulers. We're still seeing consistent flow from them.
So we could look at that during the year, and if it becomes necessary, we could add that back into your budget.
Sure.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. All right. I think that'd be a good thing to do, don't you?
I think
How far along are we on it? Do we have a bid?
design
on it?
is 100%, ready to
Design's
go.
100%, but we can go ahead and get a bid with the design.
I think we're going to get clarification on that process, whether we can still get bids or not. If it was, Heather, do we know if that's possible still? If it's not in the budget?
Happy to give you full advice.
Okay, sorry.
Not right now,
Okay,
but,
appreciate it.
happy to look into it.
Okay.
So we'll look into it and we'll see, but we can we're gonna be back in tomorrow. We can revisit it depending on.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Sounds
you.
good, thank you.
Thank you. I would say a tentative no on that one, while we gather more information.
And I would agree with that.
And that
as well.
won't affect our total property tax budget because this is an enterprise fund, but it will affect our total overall budget.
Correct.
Well, I think it's good to do that. Don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 yeses on that, Anthony, you can change it, or 2 nos on that.
No, we got,
Yes to the nose.
Yes to the nos.
we
then,
got 3 yeses to the nose.
3 yeses to the nose. And then finally on trash billing, this is essentially a one-time use of fund balance, I believe, correct? To keep rates the way they're at right now.
Okay,
Yes.
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 Commissioners, that gets us through everything except the personnel supplementals. As you can see, we're 786,000 still ongoing that we're still working on, and a little bit of fund balance needed. So rather than jumping into personnel and just spending a few minutes on it today, I recommend, Mr. Chair, that we reconvene tomorrow. I think it's 1:30 or 1 o'clock tomorrow.
It's 1 o'clock tomorrow, isn't it? Let's see. And that would give us, we take up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And that will give our respective staffs and our elected officials a chance to go through that portion of the budget to see what would best serve their needs and our needs.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, we'll be adjourned until 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you. Whew.